Oh, he's on. Now we're on. Okay, it is 6:30. If everybody would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Dreyer, if you would call the roll.
Absolutely. Mayor Carney?
Here.
Mr. Sins?
Here.
Mr. Terry?
Here.
Mr. Daly?
Here.
Ms. Ferguson?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Rucker?
Here.
For tonight's meeting agenda, I do want to point out it was brought to staff's attention and my attention as well, that on the pre-annexation agreement with Wilcox Investment Group, there is a slight discrepancy in the annexation map. And so we are asking to table this. I wanted to keep it on the agenda just to make that public statement that there was a discrepancy, and so to table that, the second reading, when we get to that portion.
Table to Wednesday?
What,
Yeah, it should, corrected exhibit will be ready.
okay, so table, so when we get to that part, to remember that. Thank you, Mr. Terry. That we will be back here on Wednesday. So with that, are there any, is there a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
A motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
Second.
Mr. Sins?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rucker?
Yes.
And is there a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from the February 13th meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from February 13th. Second.
Mr. Sins?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rucker?
Yes.
Is there any visitors signed up this evening?
None signed up.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes, Ms. Lupton?
If Mr. Wilcox, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I'll just say a few words.
Okay, if you would mind doing this during this section, that would be.
Oh, yes, you can take the podium now.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Lupton.
Hi, Jonathan Wilcox, with Wilcox Investment Group, Wilcox Communities. Just here tonight, as Mayor Carney said, we attached an old exhibit with an improper boundary on the survey, so I apologize for that, and just here to ask to table to this coming Wednesday. We've already emailed today the correct exhibit, and we'll get that fixed, and I apologize for the inconvenience and the confusion putting on us, so.
The only convenient, we have to be here anyway. You have to come.
I know, I know.
We have to be
Mike
here.
said, you just gonna move up Plain City.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox.
Thank you.
Going into reports, this evening, earlier before the council meeting, I met with I believe it's the Arrow of Light portion of Cub Scout Pack 90 to help them with their merit badge assignment. They asked to discuss issues that face our community. And so it was really interesting to talk to the Cub Scouts and hear what they would like to see in our community. Things ranged from a Chipotle, a movie theater, an arcade, some things. So it's neat to hear from the youth's perspective. I think maybe in the future it'd be kind of neat to form a committee of youth and have them do like a walking tour of Plain City and kind of get it from their perspective. Things that adults that we miss in our day-to-day hustle around. So other things that I touched on with them a little bit was the growth that we face, and talking with the parents of the members. Like it's something that is definitely out there that is concerning to residents and community members as our town changes. And so also I'm going to be working with staff to do some Facebook Live meetings once a week. I think Mr. Stanford is going to be, and maybe Mr. Hutchinson, we're going to talk a little bit about the growth and things that what the village can do and what the village, has no control over, and go on Facebook Live and kind of dispel some of the rumors and answer questions that are out there. So look forward to that either this week or next week, getting that done and started. This Friday or Thursday, excuse me, let me back up, is Read Across America Week. I am donating this book, I Love Strawberries, to our own Plain City Public Library, and talking with Mrs. Amanda Warner about donating the book. She said, well, we would want to do an outreach, like a story time on Friday, because Jonathan Alder doesn't have school. So I said, well, I can read this book. And so I will be reading the book during a farm-themed library story time. I know we have a couple tractors going to come out, and there's an activity. So working with local groups and people to make that happen on Friday, March 2nd from 10:30 to 11:30. So that is taking place. And also wanted to point out earlier before the meeting, a Cub Scout had to give an award, and Chief McKee was the recipient of it. If you'd like to hold up your award, they had to create an award for a hero, and so Chief McKee was the recipient of that for his merit badge, Jackson Warner. So just wanted to give that update. With that, I will turn it over to Ms. Sonnet, our Finance Director.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing for this evening.
Chief McKee?
Thank you, Mayor. The police department will be presenting its outreach program, Empowering Women Through Education, on March 11th of this year at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and also on Thursday, March 16th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And as usual, this is free training for the residents here in Plain City. This training will be geared toward helping keep women safe by being aware of their surroundings and informing them of potential dangers and risks they may face in everyday lives. And then this will be followed up on a later date with actual self-defense training for women if they want to. That's an option for them to go, or anybody else want to sign up just for that instead of attending this. I think this is the third time we've done this, and it's always well attended. And then second, the new cruiser that we ordered in 2021, that actually came in 2022, was finally equipped and will be on the road this week, about a year and a half later. So it will be in service this week sometime. And then lastly, many of you don't know this, but our second K9, his name, the police department's second K9 that we ever had was Nico. The handler was Sergeant Praler, and he also owned the dog at the time. Nico is now 17 years old. We'll be honoring him this March 1st at 9:15 a.m. At that time, he'll be euthanized because his health is failing quickly. So anyhow, I would like to personally thank Sergeant Praler and Officer Nico for their service as the K9 team during those times. He was retired in 2012 due to budget cuts. Not Theron, but the dog was, the K9 program was. So and then later on I'll probably honor him at council too, once we get everything settled. But Nico was, he was a great dog. He wasn't for apprehension, he was just for drugs. And also tracking. I think he had 4 years of service before they retired him. So anyhow, this is, just keep Sergeant Praler and his family in your prayers, because this is a very emotional time for him. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief McKee, and our thoughts and prayers are going out to Sergeant Praler and his family. And then also on the Empowering Women Through Education, I know I've asked you this on the age, but what, I've been getting questions like what age would be appropriate?
We've had young ladies there, I think 15 years, a little bit older.
Okay.
Maybe 16. Anything under that, I probably wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your report. Village Administrator, Ms. Lupton.
Thank you, Mayor. We had the pre-construction meeting for Hoffbauer today, this afternoon. Construction will be starting soon on North Chillicothe Street. This development was approved in 2021, so just as a refresher, it's 100 homes. It will consist of a central open space, 8-foot walking path along North Chillicothe, and then preservation land along the Darby. The bid opening for the Noteman Road project has been moved to March 10th. There's an impact fee report in tonight's packet, which is required by the impact fee ordinance. Just let me know if you have any questions. It's in there for your viewing. And then we're currently working on the sewer district transfer agreement, working with legal and finance to make sure that we've got all the details worked out. We should have a version to discuss with council in the next couple of meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Lupton. Council President, Mr. Sins.
Yes, thank you. We have our work session coming up on Wednesday, 3/1, this Wednesday, so the agenda will be coming out, I'm sure, tomorrow for that. And then coffee with a council person has been going really well. This was our 7th week, and we're about to hit our 8th week of meeting at the local. I think we've run out of Plain City establishments that are serving coffee at the breakfast time. So we're gonna either circle back around or start showing up at people's houses. Kidding about that one. But we're actually looking at some other things. I've talked with Ms. Ferguson about maybe some different ideas of maybe a different day or different time that may open it up to more people. So they've been great conversations and a great way to interact with the residents and business owners.
Thank you, Mr. Sins. Our law director.
Sure, I just wanted to update you guys real quickly. We did get the survey back on the alley vacation easement finally. So Mr. Dryer was nice enough to share that with the property owners. So they are reviewing it and gonna send feedback to us. And it's nothing that council needs to approve. You guys remember you already approved that. I think it was like last fall. So just wanted to keep you guys in the loop though.
Thank you. Marketing Communications.
That's me. We met this past Tuesday, and we went through our goals and just kind of prioritized what is going to be first, and yeah, gets updated on the Friday letter. So
Thank you, Mr. Sins. BZA.
Nothing to report.
Planning and zoning, we were supposed to have a work session tomorrow evening, but due to some attendance issues, we couldn't make that happen. So our next meeting will be March 15th. Parks and Recreation Committee, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I think our next meeting is March the 14th. When is that still on the schedule that way? Yeah, we rescheduled it this month, still this month, because of Valentine's Day, but we're going back to the regular schedule. I happened to pick up a copy of the Village of Plain City Parks and Recreation events for 2023, and all the events for February are done, and what I have on the schedule here is a sign up for Sharks swim team, starting with the previous experienced swimmers who I believe those are the ones who have been on the team before, started on March 12th. And there's a March 18th, a scheduled, looks like seminar or something on introduction to birding at 4 p.m. on March 18th. So if you're interested in birding, then this would be the place to be. So that would be it for Parks and Rec. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Personnel and Finance.
Yeah, we met last Wednesday. Our chairperson, Mr. Brammer, actually had to resign. So thank you to him for serving. He had other commitments because he was volunteering in other places. So we do have an open position. So I'm sure if you are interested, send applications to the mayor. We elected, many of you guys know Ms. Yamo. She was elected the new chairperson, so that's great. So we've got a functioning body. We just need to fill the last person. We talked about the supplemental budget and the part-time wage scale, which are both on the packet tonight and the agenda tonight. And then outside of that, our next meeting is going to be March 21st. And we talked about kind of future topics, different things that we want to discuss this year. The number one thing being we're going to look at the personnel side a little bit, the review structure. I know the review that we put together last year that I did wasn't maybe the best, so we're going to try to get the Personnel and Finance Committee team to put together something to submit to council as a recommendation of something to use. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. Fire Board.
We have our next meeting this Thursday at 6:30 at the fire station.
And Design Review Board?
We met last week. We swore in 2 new board members, myself and Robert Phillips. He's the owner of Buckeye Brass, I believe. And then we approved the new rules and procedures as a new thing that's going around for each of the committees and boards that have certain procedures and rules that were set forth for each of them. So we have everything. And Ms. Lafayette was there and stepped us through the process of how we were doing it in BZA last year and how we we'll do finding facts and then approve it right there, hopefully if it's small enough. If not, we'll come back the next time. I think it'll speed things up and it'll make things a whole lot more conducive in the design review board than what we've had in the past.
Wonderful, thank you, Mr. Udaly. And I know we need to add in Economic Development Committee. Ms. Ferguson, I think we're still taking applications on that.
Yep.
Okay.
We need members.
Okay, so we will get that hopefully by the end or the first meeting in March.
Is that, sorry, and I know we just passed this last month, is that restricted to residents? I know residents would be the first choice, but is it residents or business owners? Have you thought about that at all?
I was under the impression it could be both,
It could
but
be
I
both,
think
yes.
residents are preferred.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How many do you have so far?
I'm not sure. I'm working with Mr. Stanford a little bit. He's been creating like that search and everything. So I will follow up with him. Okay. Moving out of reports into discussion items. Our first discussion item is supplemental budget update number 1. Ms. Lupton?
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we are requesting a waiver of the second reading for the first supplemental budget tonight. So I wanted to make sure we had time to discuss. The memo in the packet does outline the changes. We corrected all of the 2023 budgeted income, broke out the impact fees to better track those this year, increased the transfer to the police fund, increased the farmer's market grant to $4,000 instead of the original expected $2,000, updated actual ending balances throughout the spreadsheet. The public works vehicle is their plow truck, and since the budget's been passed, we've gotten quotes that make the total cost come in about $50,000 higher than expected. And then we updated a couple revenues to better reflect the actual revenues from last year. Those are the major changes. I also provided a packet. I didn't get it into packet in time, but the printout in front of you shows the actual fund balances from the end of the year 2022, as well as some financial reporting as promised during the budget season that we talked about. This is just January expense and revenue reporting. Again, unaudited and everything. This is straight from our finance records. And then, as we also discussed during budget season and PNF, the committee has shown a preference for is some project reporting. So instead of necessarily fund revenues and expenses, you can kind of see the main budgeted items that happened, where they are at, and the encumbrance and spending and project reporting. So that's the 4th page today. I know it's a lot of information, but you can take a look at it and let me know if you have any questions. It should just support what we are requesting in supplemental budget number 1 today.
And I will add, I didn't mention this, the Personnel and Finance Committee reviewed this and also voted on it and approved it. I know it's just an advisory, but the PNF Committee was comfortable with the supplemental budget.
Any questions for Ms. Lupton?
Just let me know after you get some chance to look at the reporting this is the easiest to read format that I currently am working with while showing exactly debits, credits, ending balances, making sure we have a full picture of all of the funds. But let me know if you are interested in anything else or want to see it in a different format.
The only thing I would advise is on the revenue fund reporting, go ahead and add the 800 that you've already collected to the 13.6 at the bottom. So we can kind of see that it looks to me like the revenue is budgeted. I understand that's, includes the wastewater treatment, but the 14.4, right, you would add those numbers together, the uncollected plus the collected versus the 14.6 expenses on the first page. So I'm just looking, so this is our total expenses, right?
Yes,
And then this is our uncollected balance.
yes, oh, yeah.
Add that,
Like a-
because then you basically say, okay, well, our budget is to collect 14.6 and our expenses budget is 14.6. I think, just to show if we're ahead or behind, Kind of that simple, easy, just revenue expenses equal each other.
Okay. And our next topic of discussion is amending the wage scale for part-time and seasonal employees.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, we're just first reading tonight, but just wanted to call out that we are amending the wage scale just because minimum wage was updated. We forgot to include that at the end of the year. So not the full salary survey or anything, it's just those numbers. And everything is based off minimum wage. The intervals are the same and everything. We're just trying to get it updated before we start hiring the lifeguards and pool staff.
At PNF, we also just discussed the idea that maybe this just becomes automatic, that if minimum wage comes up, it's not something that has to come through, that the minimum salary just goes up by that, so that we can avoid this process.
Is that in the documentation here? Where is that? I know we had a line item that said that. Is that still in there? or
I
where
took
is
it
that?
out of this version, the automatic update, I took it out of this version.
Okay, but is it still gonna be automatic? I went back and reviewed the whole business with minimum wage, and it turns out it's a no-brainer really to do that, to make it automatic, because you're required to comply with it anyway. It just saves a step in council. Is that what you were saying, Mr. Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can add
because
that
it
back
is.
in for the second reading.
And we also discussed the fact that those increases were contemplated in the budget. So when we approved the budget, we actually kind of approved these raises, but not the actual scale. So that's why PNF felt pretty comfortable about this entire process, because the raises were in the budget. It's just like COLA, minimum wage raises.
So is that something that we just need to put on, like that it's automatically,
Yeah, for the second reading, we can add that
okay,
disclaimer.
all right. Moving out of discussion items into old business. Second reading ordinance 2-2023, amending section 145 of the codified ordinances for the Village of Plain City Tree Commission.
Motion to approve ordinance 02-2023.
Second.
Mr. Sins,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes,
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Second reading resolution 5-2023, authorizing a pre-annexation agreement with Wilcox Investment Group.
Motion to table resolution 05-2023 to March 1st.
Second.
Mr. Sins,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
yes,
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
New business, first reading ordinance 3-2023, approving 2023 supplemental budget update and requesting a waiver of the second reading.
I think it's motion, do I have to motion them separately?
Motion to waive second.
Motion
Second
to waive.
reading then,
Motion to
okay.
waive second reading of ordinance 03-2023.
second,
Mr. Sins,
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
yes,
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
And
Motion
not,
to approve ordinance 3-2023.
Second.
Mr. Sins,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
yes,
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
First reading resolution 6-2023, amending the wage scale for part-time and seasonal employees.
Mayor, if I could,
Yes.
when this came up at PNF, we did note that the part-time police officers don't fall on this scale, so we will be coming back to council in the near future with their updated scale too.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lupton, for that clarification. Okay, that concludes the public portion of our meeting. We will be about to go into an executive session. We will not be coming back with any new business. Okay. So is there a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G2, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes?
So motion to go into executive session for Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G2.
Second.
Mr. Sets?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rucker?
Yes.